We are co-founder, Pat Trading Partners, along with Bob Iacchino. How is everyone doing today? How is everyone doing? Hope you survived the sell-off, little bounce back in the Nasdaq. It didn't close as gloomy as it was earlier. Turnarounds in, I can't say the name. I need to do an experiment. Do not type in the company that shall not be named, and I will not mention it, because the moment I mention that one name that we're going to have the second live stream on, the videos essentially get demonetized. And then they eventually approve them like 4 days later. So I'm not mentioning the name, but big difference a day makes in that. By the way, if you're new here, please do consider subscribing, ringing the bell, and hitting the like button. Real quick, just so you know, tomorrow, FOMC meeting minutes right here. That's final services PMI. I'm going to start doing some more of this. ADP non-farm employment change. I just glance at that because we have the non-farm payrolls at the end of the week. So just keep that in mind. We have a lot of stuff still coming out this week. And, you know, the Fed meeting minutes tomorrow, the services PMI, and then especially Friday. So it could be, we could get some more volatility in this week. Just mentioning that to keep an eye on it. How is everyone doing? Hey, Waka Waka. Turnaround Tuesday? Well, you know, Turnaround Tuesday, but we talked yesterday about, you know, the big boys aren't generally back in their seat until the Tuesday, and the big boys were back in their seat, and we started to see a lot of the return to stuff that was sold off or slightly sold yesterday, and the dumping of high flying momentum. The yield curve, which we touched on yesterday, also not helping. Banks very strong, at least off the open, with the dump in the dump in the bonds and the rally in the yield. So I think I mentioned that in Discord. Keep an eye on the 10-year, especially guys, a little strength, a little lowering of the yield in the afternoon, and a little strength in the overall 10-year note. And then we got a slight rally back in the NAS. What I'd recommend also on your radar screen, see, here's my overall quick glance watch list. You know, put the notes in there. If you're just going to watch one interest rate, put the notes in there right here. And here's what I'm talking about. Breakdown earlier, big red bar earlier, and then little rally back. But again, still nothing to write home again. I'm still long-term, even on a rally. We're looking to sell rallies in this. You know, it could even come back up to the declining daily rotation zone. The key area I'm watching is really this 129.16 to about 129.24. But definitely watch this in your watch list, because if it starts just nosediving, it's, again, you're going to get the stuff that have these high flying ratios are going to get hit. Okay, so keep an eye real quick before I get into everything with the Nasdaq. Well, just a little preview. We were down here, and I was watching to see outside day today, but I was really watching to where it closed. Remember, we do everything on a closing basis with relation to the rotation zone, just eking a close out above the rotation zone so far. A close below the rotation zone, then I'll really start watching for a bigger pullback. Let's start with the S&P though. Let's see. I'm just not going to mention the one name, so I'm not going to put up a couple things. Yeah, we're heavy selling in tech. So let's see. Double top on 1 day chart was Nasdaq 100. Okay. Really, Waka Waka. You had to put that in the chat. I'm trying to see if that will make a difference too. I really don't want these to get demonetized. Otherwise, you guys are just going to have to do more super chats. So yeah, we might be quiet in the morning waiting, or quiet, especially we might later morning waiting for the FOMC meetings. Good evening. The picture is blurry. Is anybody else having a blurry picture tomorrow today, let me know if anybody else is having a blurry picture or just Shashidida. I can never say names. I get so frustrated. Sashididar. Sashidid. Sashid. Ihar. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm just so bad at it. I need phonetics. I need phonetics to pronounce. See, I can't even pronounce. Let's see. Rawaka, you're going down a really fine line here. All right, we have Waka says his is fine. His is fine. Okay. I just want to double check to make sure it wasn't something on my end because I could see the problem is if I jump to my other backup system, it could cut the live stream. I just want to make sure I don't have a lot of delays with it. Okay, so keep an eye on this. Let me move some stuff out of the way. Let me get up my S&P thing. Let me switch my cameras. There we go. So we do have a potential double in the S&P now. And since that's been really the best trading market, I shall say recently, that's the one I'm watching the most to see if that double. Now, I'm going to reiterate, just because you have a potential double does not just you don't just start shorting things. We have to wait. It's not even confirmed. It would need a trade below 47, 47.50. And it would need a close below that if you're doing the conservative entry. Okay, on Twitter is great. Well, thank you very much. Thank you. All right, you go by Sashi. Sashi, I can call you Sashi because you've been showing up a lot. All right, I'll try to remember that. Sashi. I hope I didn't mispronounce that. Or just mute me if I'm going to say your name. Sorry, I really do apologize. What level is invalidated? The potential double? Well, we need to have a move down and without it being triggered, and then another rotation back up. And then if we got another rotation essentially above this, right around 4,800, we'll just go with that information for the broad public. If it rotated down and then back up, it's then a triple. But if it just tomorrow rallies back up, it's not a triple yet. Now, if it gets above this 48.13 area, it is invalidated also. So keep that in mind. Why I like to put these on? Because I like to be prepared for both the upside and the downside, especially with what the Nasdaq's been doing. And we're into a clear path move. And at least the first and the second targets, remember this huge support shelf we have, a huge resistance shelf now becoming a huge support shelf. If you look at the first and second targets, they are essentially back to that support shelf. It's slightly lower probability because it's against the daily rotation zone, but it's something, especially if it triggers, even if you don't short stuff, might be time to at least put on a small little micro hedge, because if it breaks down below the daily, we have another potential pretty serious leg down, especially since breadth still stinks. That's the other thing I'm worried about, is the overall market breadth. So, let's just check that weekly real quick. See, and look at that. I didn't even look at the weekly yet, but look at that with the targets. The targets, if this did trigger, again, it's not even confirmed yet, but the targets, if it was confirmed and triggered, would take it straight back to the weekly rotation zone. Or that will keep rising a bit, but really close to it. So I'd mark that key level, this 47, 47.50 in your notes, just to make sure. Let's take a look at the intraday price action. I don't need the 5 minute. I don't know what I was doing. There was this really nice, this was a completely valid double top, even with this hitch in there. That was a really nice double top. Just wanted to point that out. And with that, there you go. There were the aggressive, there are the conservative targets. The conservative targets were slightly better just with this flat area right here. But you see that's why you don't ignore these doubles, even if you don't want to trade the short side. You know, when you start seeing them trigger, stand out of the way for a bit. So that just wanted to point that out. Bullish line in the sand was right at this 47.83 area, and we got above there in the Asian section, and then it formed as double during, you know, late European early morning session of the US, and then it triggered, and then it was step aside for that. The only other thing you could look at, I'll take a look at the comments in a second, you had your little harmonics right there. So that was, and then you got the momentum play with the yields starting to lower in the afternoon. You had that little bit. But for tomorrow, what are we looking at? Bullish line in the sand, I'm going to be about 47.85 area. 47.85. Also, you see here with that double top, what was also interesting is we had this harmonic at 48.06 area, poking here, there, poking there, and then the triggered sell-off. And this wasn't enough. This was just still one top. This was not you had this back and forth price action just at the open, and then you got the dump, so I did not invalidate it. So I'm right there with you. It's hard for me to enter core positions because the market seems so fragile. It is. This is now just becoming a trading market. Lions, they are gradually selling into strength, artificial strength overnight, and trap longs in the open to sell all day. I mean, we're getting the traditional ramp up in Asia and Europe, and then, yeah, starting to dump into the US session. So we're starting to have some dispersion, and it's why I'm getting really, really cautious that we haven't been able to get follow through. And we're getting still rotation into safety again, and banks with the yields. So I didn't even check what utilities did today, but you're definitely getting rotation out of the high flyers. So this is some time to be a little more careful. I'm going to bump this up based off the 1 hour though. We're going a little, it needs to prove itself a little more at 47.8650. As you see this little rejection here. So we might get some choppy to bearish price action. Again, we have the FOMC tomorrow. To the upside, I'm going to key off this 40. I'm bumping this level up just a hair. But that's my first upside. If we get above this 47.86, my first target is 47.95 area. If we get above there, then I'm going back to the 48.05 to about 48.08. Then above there, we have 48.15 and 48.2350. To the downside, let's just take a look, because we can't use the 4 hour rotation zone. Really, it's these minor. I'd really pay attention if we start breaking down tomorrow. And let me just go back here, just looking for an intermediate level. Oh, please. There we go. Intermediate level. There isn't a lot of, there's not a lot of great intermediate levels. I'm going to 47.75 area again. Let me just see. Yeah, still use that, bumping that up just a hair to about 47.76. Below that, I just have to go with the low area, 47.64 or 50 area. Below that, 47.59. 47.59 is going to be right where the top of the daily rotation zone is. We get below there, we have 47.53. So we have this pretty strong little support area. Below that, I'm targeting the double, the trigger of the double, and below that 47.17. Now, quick thing, that if we get a ton of momentum, because I'm going to watch for a close below this on a daily basis, but if we just have a ton of momentum selling tomorrow and there's momentum bars, That's where you can jump on those momentum bars for a short and especially use that first target down by the daily rotation zone. Okay? That's just a little tip. That's only with momentum bars cutting through this low. If it's just dribbling through that low, no. But if you get the momentum bars going through there, and we've talked about those many times, that's where really focus on that first target to the downside. Here's their Nasdaq, which I already touched on briefly. Let me take this off now. Which we have the outside bar, so a higher high and a lower low. Again, key area for me today was closing above the rotation zone, but this is a pretty bearish bar. An outside reversal day, the only saving grace is above the daily rotation zone, but the rotation zone is going flat. So if we start breaking down again, we're into a clear path move. You see we're already closed back below. We had this resistance becoming support right up in here, right around the 16, 16,392, 16,400, and we're definitely closed below that. So we're back closed below the support level, and we start breaking down again. There is not much more support until we get down, into these key areas down here. Let's take a look at that weekly. Also, if we start breaking down, you're in the weekly rotation zone, and I'd start watching for a possible return to about 15,700 if we start getting momentum to the downside. So there we go. You just can see the momentum slicing through the cluster area. This was not a valid double bottom here. It was just a reversal, returning to the 1 hour rotation zone. Bullish line for me tomorrow. Oh boy. See, it's really got to be above about 16,273. And that's still aggressive. 1 hour rotation zone bearish, 4 hour rotation zone bearish. I'm actually bumping that up a bit. I'm going higher with this. I need it above 16,315. Let me do this. My minor bullish area is this 16,273. I won't get really bullish until it gets above about 16,317, 16,315. And right now we have the 4 hour still also in bearish mode, and the daily just barely hanging on to bullish mode by the skin of its teeth. This is not a potential double. I think I mentioned that to already today. You have to lower these targets now. So if we roll over, this is a pretty key area still, the 16,223 to about 16,225. That's a first level support. If we get through there, wow, we're down about 16,158 to 16,145. We get through there. We're at the 50% retracement from this run up with the new harmonic projection down. So 1681 to about 1678, we slice through there. Minor would be 16,017. I just focus on 16,000, and then I could be running it down to about 15,978. Key line, the sand, is 15,929. If we get a close below there, then it's super bearish for me. I'll be watching for a return to test these most recent lows. So not terribly positive there. Let's see. Why they announce the FOMC meetings? Why not do what the Fed does and let the markets work? Well, the Fed doesn't really let the markets work their way, and they released the meeting minutes for the meeting before to supposedly let you know what they were thinking. Could I expand on how I play momentum bars? I watch to jump on pauses in momentum bars. So I watch for a pause that does not pull back below the 65.5% retracement of the first key momentum. And then, but I like when they base near the top, when you get just a pullback between 12.5 and 25% of the first momentum area. And then I watch for a breakout from there. And then we have, and yep, we already talked about that. We have and non-farm payroll. So we could still be in for a very volatile week this week. First week of the trading year. So we have the interest rates doing what they're doing. So I'm preparing for volatility. Here was the Dow. There was a little, just pointing this out, there was this really nice little 5-minute bottom in the Dow that stalled out the first target, then ran up and then reversal into the end. That's why I just had those targets on there. A little 5-minute, that was reversing this area. Other than that, let's take a look at the bigger picture with the Dow. That is a potential double top. Wrong targets, wrong thing. That is a potential double. Let's just see here. I wanted to, yep, right there. Because that you have this little support shelf. 36,517, 36,475, 36,433 would return to the bullish line in the sand today, or from yesterday. Sorry, not from today. When's that from? Yes, that was from my last video on yesterday. Bullish line. Sorry, got confused with this other area up there. Let's take some of this off. So I'm going to be watching. This is my key thing for tomorrow on the 1 hour. 36,601. You get below that. I'm watching for the bigger pullback in the Dow. Take off some of this. We're not. Those are still out of play. So Dow, that's going to be my main thing now. Is that could trigger overnight and be invalidated by the morning or reach full area of target. Well, you can look, that's the bottom of the 4-hour rotation zone. So that's something to more watch for the overnight, and especially European Open if we just doink around up here. Below this 36,427, there isn't much, because that's pretty much right at this support shelf. And then I'd be down to 36,222. Then these lows, 36,121, 36,036, 35,950 based off the daily. There's no daily potential double, and there's no divergence yet, so the Dow is still acting the strongest. Before I'm going to bump up another level here, pay attention to about the 36,312 area just in front of the daily rising rotation zone if we do roll over. To the upside, I'm still focused on this 36,829. Then above that, and again, fly into more safety stuff with the Dow components. Bigger names, 36,890, 36,975, and 37,078 to the upside. See, the Dow's got a lot to work through. So even if that S&P triggers the double and the Nasdaq rolls over, the Dow to really start breaking down has to get below about this 35,850 area to really start breaking down. Let's see. You want IWM gap fill at 170. Gap fill at 170. Wow. Is that I have a gap fill down here. IWN gap fill 170. Where do you see a gap at once? Oh, you're talking this? That's a long way off. I'd be focused, if it starts breaking down, this would be my first gap fill I'd be watching. But we're a long way off from that with the Russell. Russell still, we've talked about this, still with this potential double, confirmed double, so it's actually confirmed double, but still not triggered. Still, this is a key resistance area, so I'm still keeping an eye on that. So we will keep an eye on that. You wanted the weekly IWM. If you want me to look at something specific, make sure and it's not on a daily. Yeah, that's a long way off. You have this gap fill down here, but that's a long way off. What's interesting is you don't have many stopping points on this whole move. So if this starts breaking down, even from the gap fill, I'd be focused on this 200 on the weekly. If we start breaking down below that 210 area. What else? Oh, let's take a look. AMD buy signal yesterday. Again, closing is back in neutral, but the stop is below this area on a closing basis. A closing basis, still hanging on by the skin of its teeth. But if this broke down and stopped out, then I'd really be watching for a bigger pullback in the chips. The SMH today, we still have this potential double top in play on a weekly basis. And now let me explain something else. Why, if this is a multi-top on the daily, is it still valid on the weekly? Because you can see it became a triple top over here and it's moved up a bit. But just because you have a triple top, which slightly favors the continuation, it did continue. However, on the higher time frame, it's still a valid double. So keep that in mind in anything. Now, what does that mean? That means in order for this to trigger, I'd have to get the weekly close, not a daily close below 218.14, but a weekly close below 218.14. I can't trade it based off a daily close. Oh, I can use these levels without the weekly close. So if it just starts tanking, I can start using these levels for daily and intraday trading, but I can't maintain a weekly position without a weekly close. So that is still a potential double top. Anything else interesting that people wanted to look at? Oh, where is William? Where's William? He's not here today. Boeing is all I hear all the time. Boeing triggered the double bottom today. Boeing triggered double bottom. The first target is just in front of the 200, so that's definitely an area to move up your stop. And then I'd be really focused on this 231.19 target. Let's just take a look at some of these. Apple still not doing much up here, just a little reversal, but Apple's holding up quite well. Apple is a potential weekly double top still. Ford. Yep, Ford's ripping. Ford broke out of this base real nice yesterday, and that is a monster move up with Ford. But here's another one. Chevron with oil play breaking out. I'd be watching for any pullback to see if this base holds on a pullback trade and then a rotation back up. That could be a potential really nice play with the strength of oil. So keep an eye on that. I'm trying to think of what else was interesting. Anybody have anything else interesting that we want to cover in here? Just touch a look. See, Facebook not doing anything. Microsoft breaking down again. And Microsoft's been a leader, and that's actually, I still think that's a strong company. It is slightly overvalued, but it's breaking down. So things are completely, not even the non-profitable tech, but even profitable tech's getting hammered. What else? Shopify. Shopify, that's just brutal. Shopify is just brutal. And right to that first harmonic right there. Your next level down on Shopify is about 1149. I just focus on 1150, and then if that breaks, I'm watching for the 50% retracement of this massive run up, which would take it to about 1034. So, yep, that's looking like. And then, you know, you want to see what the banks are doing. Banks are just ripping higher. There's Bank of America. There's Citibank at the 50. I'd be watching on Citibank. You know, if you get a first cross rotation zone, nice pullback, especially if yields start dumping again. So you might get a little reprieve, but you start getting a pullback into this prior resistance becoming support with the first cross rotation zone. The 50's already been weakened, so you get back above there. You have a nice run. You have a gap fill still left behind, and I could easily see this returning longer term to the 200 simple moving average. Wells Fargo, here you go with Wells breaking out of a massive top. So on any pullback on Wells could be a nice retest of resistance becoming support with a strong move up. JPM, very interesting. Sorry, I had to kill a bug there. JPM still's got some stuff to chew through, but this could be a nice play, especially on a pullback with a gap fill. So there's some banks. That's definitely because if rates keep rising, which I'm expecting them to, banks should outperform Nvidia. Yeah, Nvidia's got nothing going on right now. I'm really focused to see what happens to return to about 265 area. Then if we drop below that, my next key area is all the way back at the 50% run up from here, right around 231. But there's nothing yet to do in Nvidia. So, yeah, this could be the start of this something bigger. Are you talking with the banks or with stuff like Nvidia? By the way, this was not a double top. Yeah, we're definitely getting a strong rotation out of tech. A lot of tech. So keep that in mind. Sorry about the dogs barking in the background. Not seeing anything else that anybody wants to touch. No, I didn't check on BMY today yet. We looked at this the other day, pull back in the rotation zone and the rotation back up. Not quite a close above yesterday's high, but this is definitely in play still. So I'm still keeping an eye on Bristol Myers Squibb, with especially, see, we talked about healthcare before. Healthcare could potentially get stronger. Did not trigger the buy signal today, but could trigger a buy signal tomorrow. A firm got hammered. Yeah, that's now, since they're more of just a lending company, then that's on consumer slowdown and everything. So that's versus a bank. So yeah, I wouldn't be stepping in front of a firm, especially with this gap. It'll be interesting to see if it can form some bottoming pattern after it fills its gap, but there's nothing I'd be doing with the firm at this point. Because you're against the daily, you're against the first cross of the weekly, you still look at the gap on the weekly, you could easily sell back down. So would not touch a firm. Let's take a look at ARK. Yeah, ARK. I'm still really keying off this one little level, this cluster right here. We start breaking below that, and I think it's all over, at least possibly for the year with ARK. You start breaking below this little base, because we had a double bottom that did not trigger. Now it's turned into a triple. You break through this area, goodbye ARK. And especially you then drop below the 62.5. No bueno, no bueno. What triggers a buy signal? It's something I do with the percent B. I'll probably release that in the course. I'll probably put that out. What else? Yeah, watch gold today. Gold was a nice move back up. So gold still got a little more proving today. Got back above that 811, but this is choppy. Now it has been forming higher lows. This was a pretty shocking day yesterday with that result, so it still has to prove itself. Gold's still not in favor. What minings are you watching? Here, I mean, I always glance at Newmont, especially if it's coming back down. Newmont would be fantastic. Coming back down to about the 59 to 60, 59 area. Right in here, retesting this big, huge breakout channel with the rising rotation zone now. That could be a fantastic, if Newmont gets back down there, that could be a really interesting pickup on a rotation back up. We don't normally cover Forex in here, but we can do it. Yeah, JPY really back to the weekly rotation zone, rotating back up nicely. What are the longer term targets on this? Oh, shoot. Oh, hit that first little minor ones. I have not been trading FX recently. I'd be watching you. You have this key area right here though. But that is a nice move up, especially with this weekly rotation zone hitting that double target. So this, yeah, on pullbacks, as long as this 115.43 level holds, it could be really interesting for the higher targets right now. XME. Yep, XME, we had that double on there. It did complete that full target. Pause the first target, pause the second target, rotation, and third target reach. So that is all done. What else do we have? Hi, Kalani. We already did Shopify, so if you go back and take a look at the replay, we already did that. Happy New Year to you also. What else do we want? ASA. Where's ASA gold? There it is. I missed it. ASA is not the most bullish one I'm keeping an eye on. I don't normally watch this one, but I get interested. I'm going to actually set an alert above here. Get interested above there again if it can prove itself. And what else we had? Now, see, I'd be in this one versus ASA in a heartbeat. This one didn't trigger the little double top, and it's still off here. That could be an interesting play on a move back up to target the 440 area. All right, so there are a couple interesting plays here. And we did have this double trade. Let me just take a look at this. So hits the first double target, pulling back. I've not looked at this one because that was an interesting play with that double trigger. Hitting the first target, pull back right now. So on any more strength, you got 431, then about 439 right to that 440 area with the daily 200. That could be an interesting play too. Oh, thank you very much, Genomic. Thank you for the super chat again. Those are helping so much. I've mentioned before, they just keep demonetizing my videos. I don't know what's so controversial about them, but all of these really help. Thank you, and thank you for being part of the channel. I really do appreciate it. You bought ASA at the bottom, so doing well. That's good. Gevo. What is Gevo? Process Industries Chemicals Specialty. I know nothing about the company. I have to take a look at the bigger picture. Only thing that concerns me is it's really got to prove itself again. This is just a retest of this nice little bottom area that broke. I could not be aggressive on this at this point based off the weekly. This would have to get above this key resistance now and then retest it and then rotate back up for me to get interested in Gevo. Because this major support area is broken. The only thing, you got this divergence, so I just can't do anything with Gevo yet though. Ooh. What did I hit? Oh, there it is. And that, wow. That's been a rundown. I don't know if that's accurate. Or did it do, I don't know anything about that. I couldn't do anything with Gevo. DNA. Ugh. Ugh. That would be just trying to bottom pick at this point. Wow. That is ugly. And there's no reversal pattern yet. I can't touch that one with anything. Now, and a long way off. I don't even know if that would qualify. Sort of. Boy. I need something to lean on against here, and that's just, boy, there's too many good things to trade. That is not strong. Just seeing where the next key areas are. 692, 592. The problem is, even here, you have this long base from, what was this? Is this a SPAC? Is this a SPAC? Okay, yeah, RG. Thanks, a 20 million. That just solidified it for me. RG is buying. Oh boy. All right, so I'm going to 692, then 592. ARK's buying it. It's going. Was this originally a SPAC though? Because it looks like this was the base of a SPAC, and then it rolled into this Ginkgo Bioworks Holdings. Then you got the little SPAC play that's now broken down. Wouldn't touch this thing with. If I had free money, I would not put it in here. Umbrella, electronic technology, semiconductors. If you got strength in semi and you really need to see this as a key price right there. That's a significant level. 216.66. I need a close above that. I definitely to do anything with this because it's also in the semis, which are starting to get hit. We might have a supply glut in chips coming in some point in 2022. So, sorry, there's another little bug there. That's something that would have to really strengthen up, prove itself. Now it's built a nice resistance area, so if you get a close above that, and I'd want to retest and then a rotation back up, it could be an interesting, very aggressive play. I mean, they're beating earnings. When are their next earnings? So that could be actually a play if we get through some of this semi weakness and then you get a close above this 216.60 area. It could be an interesting play to the upside, especially closer to earnings. Allstate. Yeah, Allstate. Jeez, I should have been. Allstate, yeah, that's. Had not looked at Allstate recently. I should have been. Oh, look at that. That was beautiful. I need like coming up there, coming back down, and then getting above the 50. Yeah, next I'd really be on any pullback, especially you get a pullback. I'm actually gonna put an alert. I gotta add that to another list too. Okay, right here, did we actually close above this? What was this key gap open? 121. Closing into that gap open. So even on pullbacks, yeah, this is a definitely bullish play for me because you got the gap fill up to the 200. That could be a very nice play. Just depend on reward to risk. That's why I want a pullback in there because then you could keep a stop, right below this 116 area. So it'd be a pretty decent reward to risk play. I don't know the whole history of Kathy. I don't know what she did in '99. I think she's gonna do the. If she did that in '99, she's gonna do the same again. Yeah, really, this Allstate could be a very interesting play. Snow, and then I got to wrap it up. I got to get into the company that shall not be named. Ooh, Snowflake. Poor little Snowflake. I don't really follow Snowflake. Snowflake definitely rolling over again. Coming up to that harmonic, 400 harmonic breaking down. The only problem is there's not much. There's some pretty decent support in here, so it'd have to rally back up and roll over, rally back up. There's a significant level right here. Can tell you right now, 339.50. Run back up to there, and then a rollover could be an interesting little quick short play. But this thing's over. There's nothing I'd touch from the long side. Nothing. Even if it got back up into this area, wouldn't touch it. That's just a disaster waiting to happen. And longer term, I could definitely see it heading lower longer term. So it would have to make some struggle because now we have a triple bottom. Especially you get a close below about this 311 area. I mean, you do have some stopping points here. I would not ignore that 293.19. That's why it's a tougher short because you have a stopping point here, right in there, this little support base that actually formed this little mini double. So you have that support base. Then if you look at the next harmonic, you have this resistance becoming support, and you got all this chop in there. So this was a tough one to play to the downside, but it's not looking positive with that triple bottom. And all right, we'll take a look at what is cloud. I forgot the symbol for cloud for net. That's right. Oh, ooh. Cloudflare for me was over up here when it triggered this double top and just kept cascading down. And then here's what I'm talking about. You see, this is the kind of great short. This, you see, once it gets in this is what I'm talking about with a clear path move. So this, you had the double top, triggered, turned to the base, then rolled over. Then after that double completed, I just stopped looking at it, which I probably shouldn't have, because you completed it right here. And then you just kept running down because look, we had no support until you get down to this area in here. And look where it chopped around before rolling lower. Now it's back below its 200. Still no close. But I really got to wrap this up. So right there, you get another. You got to finally close about below 112. And then you get a close below this area right here, about 100, then that's really another fantastic potential short. All right, we'll wrap it up there. We'll be doing the other live stream that shall not be named starting in 4 minutes to the countdown timer. I'll talk to everyone later. Hope everyone has a great day. Again, thank you, Genomic Stock, for the super chat. Thank you very much. Let me put him back up. Thank you. And we will talk to everyone later. Bye.